What up? It's your girl Glam Cam, and today we're going to cover a heartbreaking story based on Zemar King III, a little 9-year-old from Detroit. First, we're going to recap the first beginning of when they discovered the incident, the horrible incident, and then it's going to gradually go into when they got all the evidence and the charges. So stay tuned, click like, make sure you subscribe and comment, and we need to discuss this. Let's get into it.
So about 1 o'clock this afternoon, we were alerted by a construction crew of possible human remains found in the rear of this location here in the 19,000 block of Woodingham. Our units responded and confirmed that we identified some human remains partially buried. Someone small in stature. We don't know yet of sex, age, or anything of that nature, but we again are here investigating this. In addition to the Detroit Police Department's homicide unit, we have our partners from the FBI, our missing persons unit, and some additional resources here to again begin this investigation, first by exhuming the remains, then from that identifying who this individual was, and then the person responsible for this.
Around what time did this all happen?
We received a call just after 1 p.m. on today's date.
So this construction worker, is this house vacant? Were they working to remodel it?
That's correct. So this house was vacant, and the crew here was there to do some renovations. My understanding is that while they were on the property, they noticed some damage, some siding peeling on the garage, and while looking in the area, they made the discovery and then alerted us.
Was that body wrapped in anything, or in what condition was
it? It looked to be, again, it was partially buried. It appeared to be it was in some type of burlap sack or blanket. So that's what we were able to see at that time. Again, a lot of unknowns, but we'll be working here through the night to find that information.
Wondering, do you have any idea how long that body had been there?
We don't know. Contacted our partners in addition to our DPD resources, our homicide unit, our missing persons unit. Our partners from the FBI are here to assist us in this investigation. So one, we can find out who this person is, and then more importantly, the person, well, just as equally important, the person responsible for this so that they can be criminally charged.
Okay, so you do think this is a criminal investigation as well?
It's too early to tell, but we are treating it as one.
So I want to talk about a case of a young boy named Zemar King III. The alleged facts in this case are that we are announcing today. On January 6th of 2025, the Detroit Police Department was notified and summoned to a house on Woodingham in Detroit. They had been contacted by the landlord that owned that house. When he went to that house, the landlord contacted him when he went to that house to prepare it for a new tenant. That he called the police because he found a shallow grave in the backyard of the home on Woodingham. Upon arrival, the police were shown that grave where a human foot was sticking out of the ground. The foot was believed to be belonged to a small child. After an extensive investigation by quite a few agencies, and the chief will talk about that in a minute, the buried body was discovered to be 9-year-old Zemar King III. That the mother of young Zemar was 41-year-old Brandy Pierce. It's alleged that she killed him, and that the cause of death found by the medical examiner was smothering and neck compression. To just further go ahead and tell you what other facts about this case. It's alleged that she purchased a shovel. She bound him by tying his hands and feet together and dug a hole in the background of the house on Woodingham, where she had been living for a short time. She then put him in this hole and covered him with dirt. That after killing her son, she and her other son, who was 3 years old, moved to Georgia, Cobb County to be exact. It was determined that this, in fact, happened sometime in October of 2024. That Zemar's mother, Brandy Pierce, is currently in Cobb County, Georgia, and we will be requesting her to be extradited back to Michigan. We are charging Brandy Catrice Pierce today with 1 count of murder in the first degree premeditation, which carries a life without parole sentence, mandatory. Count 2 is homicide felony murder. Again, the mandatory penalty is life in prison without the possibility of parole. Our third count is child abuse in the first degree, life or any term of years in prison. The first degree child abuse is the felony to make out the felony murder we are alleging. Count 4 is tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by more than 10 years in prison. And the fifth one is interfering with concealing and interfering with the death of an individual, 5 years, of course, that being 9-year-old Zemar King. As always, this defendant is presumed innocent unless or until proven guilty.
Neighbors back here in Detroit say the family only lived in the home for several weeks before leaving. They say they never saw Zemar outside. It's unclear what school the child attended, but sources say he wasn't enrolled in Detroit public school.
Has there been any communication with Zemar's mother at all from you guys?
We did speak with his father yesterday. Actually, this morning, actually. So, yes, we have had contact with the family, and the Detroit Police Department has had contact with the family as well.
Are you able to provide any further information on the timeline of, you mentioned October, and then what?
That'll come out in court.
But in regard to how she ends up in Georgia with the other child, or with
all I can tell you at this point in time is she left shortly after she buried the body in the backyard and went to the state of Georgia.
Pierce reportedly took off to Georgia in November with her other child, a 3-year-old boy. We've learned she ended up having a run-in with police near Atlanta after someone spotted the toddler alone in the car with no clothes on. All the while, Brookhaven police say Pierce was attempting to sell plasma nearby.
41-year-old Brandy Pierce was his mother.
Okay.
And did Zemar's father live in Michigan?
He lives in this area, yes.
And was he aware of his child's death?
Again, we talked to him. I don't think he was aware until recently, but again, we did speak with him this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll be speaking with him, of course, further as time goes on.
And those are oh, go ahead.
No, please, you got it.
Those are her two kids, Zemar and the 3-year-old?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Prosecutor, where's the 3-year-old right now? What's his status? What's his condition?
Again, he's with his mother in Georgia right now. And he was, and now he's in foster care here, I believe.
Can you potentially this was accidental, somebody panics and then leaves the state, intentional? Are you able to offer anything in regard to intent or non-intent?
I am not going to do that. You'll find out in court.
Thank you.
That's truly heartbreaking. And I just don't understand how all these children are being unalived. It's just really hurt my heart. This is in Detroit. And I want to go over like the time frames of things with Brandy Pierce and Zemar King III. Investigators said that the crime didn't come out of nowhere because, of course, she got that CPS history. 4 times the record showed that, she have a CPS complaint. The first one was in May 2015 when Brandy was in her first trimester. She admitted to consuming marijuana and alcohol. And she said she did that prior to deciding if she was going to keep little Zemar. Then in July 2019 and possibly like May or June 2021, it also was 2 other incidents, and both of them was alleging that Zemar was left alone. The first time was he was left alone in the Southfield apartment. 2 years later, he told the police in 2021 that he didn't know where he belonged. That's around May or June. Contacted some relatives. 78 degrees. He was left in his mother's car. The car was locked. The police discovered that the child was in the car. He was in there over 90 minutes while she was in her doctor's appointment. She told the police that her child was a heavy sleeper and that the doctors don't allow children inside the doctor's appointment. It's also stated that Brandy have a pattern of behavior problems, and she also go to like the mental health place on a daily basis, which should have been a red flag to CPS alone. The Montcalm County prosecutor had a warrant request for child abuse, saying it was insufficient evidence and CPS is working with mom. So they put CPS involved, and he said it was insufficient, and CPS decided to work with mom. After they performed like a home inspection, decided to close the case. They found out like it's food in there, no safety hazard stuff going on, and suitable sleeping arrangements. Came the 4th complaint to CPS. Brandy went to the Plymouth Hospital emergency room saying she was anxious and depressed. And Brandy also told CPS that she had a breakdown, felt herself going to a panic, and she was questioning about giving up custody to one of her children. She also told them that she's been evicted from a motel and that her car had been repossessed, and that she was completely out of her SSI funds. And she told them also, once she left the hospital, she basically had been sleeping on the streets with her kids. But little Zemar, he told them the real deal when he spoke to CPS. He told them that he's not been to school in over a year. He don't barely have food to eat, and that his mother beat him with a belt, and she also put her hands around his neck. And guess what CPS did? They closed the case. In that way, the investigation found no type of evidence that she wanted to unalive him. And guess what they did? Supplied her with pamphlets and a note to follow later, up with after Zemar told CPS what his mother did to him. She actually did it, prosecutor said. Randy Pierce been bouncing around state to state and city to city from 2023, like a short time, from Florida to Georgia, and came back to Michigan September 2023, where she said she moved back to Michigan to rebuild a bond with her oldest child's father, and that it didn't work out successfully. So that had to have been Zamir's father. So it's like basically if she couldn't have the father, she took it out on the child. They said little Zemar was on the spectrum of autism, and by her having that mental disability, she don't know how to care for a child with autism. All that's doing is frustrating her, irritating her. She did not need those kids in her care. Because they said at the time when she did go to the hospital, when Zemar was letting them know what's going on in the home, that's 3-year-old, that was possibly like 2 at the time, they said he was just drinking milk, not eating no solids whatsoever, because they did stay at the hospital like for some hours and ate there. They said he don't eat solids at all. And then when they found him in the car in Georgia, he was in the car naked, in feces, with the air mattress in the car. The police, that's when she got arrested for that. And that's when, they found about Zemar. And it's always the terrible. Father never knows what's going on after the child is unalived. It's always that stuff have to stop. And we need to see what's going on with CPS. Like, why are you guys failing the children so much? If it's any complaint, it needs to be looked into. We don't care about the food and the living arrangement. It's actually some physical damage going on in that household. See, the cover up is always like looking at the adult like, yeah, she do come in for depression and mental problems. She do be having breakdowns. We do have her on medicine. And this baby had to lose his life because this mother had like this mental condition. And she actually brought a shovel and made a grave and bound her child and put it and unalived her child. And it's just really hard to bear. This is not good at all. And the other sad thing is that we definitely gonna be looking forward to this court date. Very tragic story of what the mother did to his big brother. And that's so sad how the neighbors never seen him. And it's so sad that how she was going from city to city, state to state, there was no type of censor on her to know that it's a child in that house. And I believe how she got that house is possibly from CPS, because they was working with her. So you know how they'll give her like possibly a brochure or a deposit or something towards the house. That lady didn't need to be left alone with those children. See, that's how they sweep it under the rug to not do their job. They'll just throw them a house deposit. Here you go. Put the kids in that house, knowing that mother's not fitting. She's coming to y'all like, I'm messed up and I can't take care of these kids. And the kids are like, look, mama, somebody help me. Mama's attacking me. She's after me. And we seeing this one too many times in Detroit, Michigan, and this is not right. And it has to stop. I don't know if they ain't got enough CPS workers. I don't know if they don't have enough of anything, because everybody got this story as they couldn't get no help and they reached out and they getting denied. And the kids are left in the care of the people that's unaliving them. By her having that psychological issue, she couldn't get that boy's father. and she went insane and crazy, and everything that little boy did, that also come out in the course. We don't know if he was malnutritioned or anything like that, as well as they do like autopsies. And that's just very sick to do some stuff like that. That is disturbing. And then you're just going to make a grave, throw your child in there, and then you're just going to take off and get on the highway. That is very evil. Then the dad, he possibly ain't in his right mind at all to have a child by this woman and to not be hands-on with Zemar. He possibly wasn't even capable. You know, whether he's a father or not, he possibly ain't mentally capable. You get what I'm saying? So if you guys know a little bit more about this story, or if you know of this person, make sure you put something in the comments. Make sure you also like and subscribe. We're going to continue to follow up on this, as they didn't even have the hearing yet. You know, we thought this was another child that was unalived at one point when they first discovered the body in the backyard, you know. But it's little Zemar King III, and may that baby rest in peace. And, you know, that may that his family get the peace that they need, that loved him, you know. And little it's so Zemar sad that his life was cut short like by somebody that gave him life. And waking up happy every day, playing his video games on his tablet, you know, and eating fun food and going out to do arcade and skating. You know, that's what I like seeing for kids. Getting hugs, getting told I love you. That's something that he never got the chance to experience on Earth. But he's in a better place because he didn't deserve that at all. You know, that was so wicked. As the time go on that we follow this, may little Zemar get all the justice that he deserves. It's so sad that it have to be his own mother that did some disturbing stuff like this. It's sad for the community to have to go through this. And it affects the world, you know. This don't just affect their family. It affects all of us. And like I said, one is always too many. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Click like and subscribe.